I work as part of a team and to basically help management as the governor to achieve the objectives that have been set for all of us by the board of the bank. And I think over the last few years, as part of a team, we have been able to build on the work of our predecessors. And in that sense, we see this as a continuing effort. We have been able to work to bring down inflation. We have been able to work to bring down interest rates and maintain the exchange rate stability. So we have been able to work on the macro area to restore relative macro stability.
Deputy governors assist the governor in managing the business of the bank, which falls, in my opinion, into three broad categories. The most important is the monetary policy, which we do to maintain the price stability and ensure the cedi retains its buying power. The second one is promoting a sound and efficient financial and payment system to ensure market stability and confidence. And the third one, meeting the currency needs of the country, that is the issuance and eventual replacement of banknotes and coins, which, by the way, is Bank of Ghana's best known product. The deputy governors also represent the governor at meetings and conferences of major international organizations, where emphasis is normally on sharing and gathering of information to assist the domestic policy deliberations. The bank's work is carried out by a highly professional and high integrity staff of about 1,350, organized into various departments with departmental heads responsible for operational and service delivery in their own areas and reporting to one of the two deputy governors or to the governor.
The head office buildings of the Bank of Ghana on the High Street, Accra, and its annex at CD House, also in Accra, house the 20 key departments that ensure the smooth and efficient running of the bank's operations and banking system in Ghana as a whole. The bank has branches in Takoradi, Kumasi, Sunyani, Tamale, and Hohoe, which underscores its national character. Dr. Paul Akwa, in tandem with the government of the day, has overseen a drastic overhauling of Ghana's fiscal and economic policy, thus engendering the confidence of international financial institutions such as the IMF, World Bank, and key donor nations. The many significant achievements and developments of the Bank of Ghana under the governorship of Dr. Paul Akwa include the following. The introduction of the Bank of Ghana prime rate as the policy rate. It is currently used as an anchor for money market rates and to signal the bank's assessment of inflationary pressures and monetary policy stance. The inauguration of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank, MPC, in September 2002 to serve as an institutional lever for independent monetary policy formulation. The revision by the bank of the reserve requirements on foreign currency holdings of deposit money banks in September 2002. Work has begun by the Bank of Ghana on the establishment of an efficient and well-functioning interbank foreign exchange market, IFEM, in Ghana, as part of the efforts by the bank to deepen the financial intermediation process. The bank modified the regulations governing the licensing of banks to allow universal banking in Ghana. A universal banking license requires a minimum capital of 70 billion cedis, or 7 million new Ghana cedis, and will allow banks to engage in various types of banking business, including investment, commercial, and merchant banking. In 2005, the new Banking Act 672 became operational to ensure, among others, that banks remain compliant with regulatory and prudential requirements. In 2006, a new foreign exchange law was passed which overhauled the Exchange Control Act, removing the uncertainty about rules governing transactions in the foreign exchange market and investment and capital flow into the country. In November 2006, the bank announced the redenomination of the cedi, which took effect on July 1, 2007, following an intensive public awareness campaign. The redenomination has been hailed by all and sundry as a remarkable success for reducing cost and time spent on cash transactions and transportation. The redenomination was also aimed at the facilitation of automated teller machines, ATMs, for example.
Perhaps the most significant legislation is the Foreign Exchange Act, which passed only last year. This is a culmination of all the policies of liberalization in the exchange system that have taken place over the last few years. As you know, the bank had been operating under the Exchange Control Act, which implied that the bank had to regulate all the payment transactions. Over the years, we have issued guidelines in attempt to liberalize the system with the achievement of macro stability, improvement in exchange payments position, currency stability. It became possible to introduce this Foreign Exchange Act. And that actually brings us back to where we began at the time of independence.
True to the tenets of its establishment and the hopes and aspirations of the nation's founding fathers, the Bank of Ghana has proven to be the bedrock of Ghana's socio-economic development and advancement these past 50 years. This formidable and enduring institution has seen the country through its political, economic, and social ups and downs without losing its focus. Ayiko.
A refugee is somebody who is running away from his country to take refuge in another place.
A refugee is someone who comes from another country to seek maybe refuge or greener pastures at another country.
All the boys and women that are suffering from Bujuba and Rwanda, they are coming to Accra.
Someone from another country, maybe coming to another country.
Who really have a problem in their country, like maybe there's a fight going on in their country and then they've moved to another country.
In terms of war or at disasters and things.
The late 1989 saw the beginning of Liberia's civil war, which lasted about 13 years. That was the beginning of their political unrest and the displacement of thousands of Liberians. More than 40,000 Liberian refugees were brought into Ghana as asylum seekers to live in the Buduburan refugee settlement, which is about 25 miles from the capital, Accra. In the spirit of African unity and brotherliness, these refugees have lived very comfortable lives until the 19th of February 2008. Women and children left their homes, abandoning their very means of survival to occupy the open field on the Buduburan camp to embark on a silent demonstration. This was in support of a petition addressed to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, in Geneva, demanding the 3 durable solutions for refugees the world all over. 1. That they did not wish to be integrated into the Ghanaian society. 2. That they wish to be resettled in a Western country. 3. That they wanted each Liberian refugee opting for repatriation to be given an amount of $1,000 US. They, however, gave reasons for each solution.
That's it. We're supposed to be educated and prepare us in a situation that one day integration will come about and we'll be able to fit into the society and the job market so that we can be bought so easily. But I felt with myself, then gave me 3 months training for pedicure, 3 months training for plaiting hair, 3 months training for baking bread. That alone is not sufficient to keep me into this nation.
Even though the issue of resettlement is not within the domain of the government of Ghana, the refugees leveled certain charges against the Ghana Refugee Board.
I will tell you boldly, when we went for verification, it was acknowledged to every refugee on Camp Mboro. The immigration officer will call you, John David, when you get there. Say, John David, I thought you are in America. You say, why? Say, but this name no more exists in Ghana as a refugee. These people go to America. Then you, John David, will ask, okay, if this name existing in America, not in Ghana, can you please tell me the list of family members? Yes, indeed. The immigration officers will outline all of the family members. Real. It didn't happen in one person's situation. It happened in more than 10, 15 cases. If you may want to make reference to this statement, I will ask if you could make a thorough investigation with respect to the Ghana Immigration Office. Ask them. At the time they were verification, they were using our fingerprint. So even my ID card, nobody can use my ID card without the fingerprint. So when we got the information down that people were on our name in America or Canada or Australia, then we asked the question, how did these people go to America, name, or Australia?
Resettlement issues are handled by UNHCR, and they only report to us which individuals have been resettled. But to the best of my knowledge, it is not true that resettlement slots are sold to Ghanaians.
We want to bring an end to this wonderful refugee life and get back home with a little increasement in the pockets, or people that have funny fear that meet the criteria to be resettled so that we can bring an end to the refugee life. I came here without a gray hair being on my head, but now look at my head.
We were returning home to our mother's land, and when you get to Liberia, UNHCR give you $5. That is, I think 35,000 cedis equivalent. And we realized that it was not sufficient at all.
And they were offered $100 per head for returning to the country. And some of them are saying that the $100, one, is not enough. Two, there are some of them who had been combatants, and some of them were also scared for their lives. They're also allowed to take one suitcase. Considering the fact that people have lived here for more than 10 years, and you're asking them to go back with one suitcase, if they want to go back with more, then it means that they would have to pay.
After we got the information that a budget of $58 million United States dollars will be passed for Ghana Refugee Board to receive for the integration of Liberian refugees in Ghana, we decided since that money will be given to the refugee board, let the money be distributed among the 27,000 refugees that wish to go home. Those of the 27,000 that may want to stay in Ghana because they are already on program, because we have the P1 and P3, okay? Then they could stay. But you that want to go get your share of that money, that is the reason why we calculated and came out to $1,000 each.
The refugee board does not have a budget for refugee assistance per se. The UNHCR made it clear that they were not in a position to fund that kind of amount for each refugee to return home.
Though the Buduburam camp is hardly the place to live, humanitarian officials say the camp is a success story, a model of how self-reliant refugees can build a thriving community and work hand in hand with some aid agencies. Because of the difficult nature in obtaining work permits, these refugees had to work hard in the informal economy.
I braid hair and sell weave-on, flat, attachment.
We tell God thank you because for what we do here, at least we can be able to get our daily bread.
Ultimately, the greatest credit goes to the refugees themselves, especially the women, who are determined against all odds to work hard to make a decent home away from home for themselves and their children.
You're doing business, my dear. It's not even enough. It's just like the prophet is, the prophet is so little. So now it's end up going into the capital.
I attended a church, and the church had a school, and I was there teaching the children. But later on, you can't help me. 100,000, 150,000. So I started while doing like what I just said, doing my little petty skills business. And that's what I've been looking at. And you know, looking at women who I got over 4 brothers. I got about 3 sisters and my son. And everybody just sitting. So I have tried to, I'm tired. I just want to put a halt to the whole refugee life.
They have not ever expand services onto the Liberian refugees for us to really feel their support.
Those schools that were constructed by the UN, their fees are more than the private schools that churches built.
We pay for water. A bucket of water here, some places is 2,000. A bucket, just 1 bucket. See, this gallon, pay 2.5. This gallon of water.
I'm a very self-rented or land from a Ghanaian called Pakwesi, and I constructed my own house for 4 years. And after the 4 years, he asked me to pay for rent in the house that I constructed. That, of course, I'm paying my own rent now.
UNHCR have been providing food since we came, but it came to a time that the UNHCR told us they were pulling out of here. Firstly, it was in 2000, June 2000. They pulled out of here, and we were all by ourselves in this camp, taking care of ourselves. And later on, they came back because I think the war in Liberia intensified again. And so they came back on this camp in 2003. When they came back, they didn't come back in full. What do I mean? They did not come back with this medication, this food distribution, education, and what have you. They didn't come back with that in their full. But they were able to give food to some vulnerable people, as we call them.
They barely distribute maize meal, corn, and agro oil to the vulnerable people.
But I don't know how do they determine vulnerable. Except because I'm fat and she was playing glad, so she's vulnerable. So I don't know how do they discover vulnerable cases.
I don't know how they will say vulnerable people when we all are vulnerable. That's why we came to Ghana for refuge.
The Ghana Refugee Board or the Ghana government or the UNHCR cannot afford to feed or support every Liberian refugee in the country.
When strangers are expected, they go and open it for you to fetch water. When the stranger leave, it is over. And even to the toilets you go, you don't enter the toilets freely. You pay something before you enter, 500. So that way you don't have 500 and maybe you have 1,000 to take back. The 1,000 you have to take your shower or to buy water and take back. You won't go to use it on the toilet. You will go on the bush side to toilet.
It is in line with their agitation that on the 17th of March 2008 can never be forgotten in the history of Liberians in the Buduburan refugee settlement.
The 17th of March 2008, it was to my utmost surprise at the hour of 5:20 to 5:30 in the morning.
Few concerned women of the Buduburan camp decided to go at the football park for a sit-in protest.
The demonstration was illegal since they had not sought permission, since they were disrupting other activities from taking place on the camp. Children were stopped from going to school. All other activities on the camp were stopped.
The law says that you need to inform the police. And according to the women and some documents that they gave us, they did inform their police post at the camp. So from where I'm standing, I do not think anybody can say that they did not inform the police, because they have documents to that effect.
I had a microphone giving announcement concerning about our prayers, that we should have our prayers, and don't feel reluctant to pray. Within the scope of that time, I saw the police pickup. When the police pickup came, there were about 10 buses plus, and we were into the cycle of the police, well armed and pointing at us.
The Minister of Interior is allowed by law to do that. He had designated the Kodiabe youth training camp as a refugee settlement and requested that the demonstrating women and children be transferred and relocated to the Kodiabe Youth Training Center.
They were crying, so I was able to calm them. When I came there, I had a word of prayer and I composed myself. The general for the police got down, the big man. He had on the kente akbata with a plain cloth, and he came and walked to me. He said, give me the microphone, and I gave it to him. He said, you hot. I don't want to talk, but tell your people, you have violated the law of Ghana. So I have come to pick you up to carry you. I said, but sir, who am I to violate the laws of Ghana? I'm just a refugee. I'm not